What's good, everyone? Today we're talking about a bit of a strange movie in Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. This movie is one that I kind of respect more than I enjoy, mostly because I watched the fantastic DVD bonus features and just seeing how much work and effort was put into making this movie possible. Like, just seeing how the makeup effects were made. It took the actors 4 hours to get those monkey faces on every day. I had to wake up at like 5 in the morning, sit there for 4 hours just so they could look like a monkey for one day.
What, 4 a.m.? And we're on our way to the Planet of the Apes set. Now, I have to leave every day early for two reasons. One, to beat all that crazy LA traffic, and two, because once I get there, I've still got over 3 hours of makeup.
It's just so impressive how they were able to do that. Like seeing how Rick Baker was able to transform a person into an ape was just really awesome. And not all of the makeup effects look like most of them do, but they look kind of inconsistent. Like Ari, the protagonist ape, it's like the super simple makeup that looks like one of the older movies, whereas everyone else is these super detailed, realistic monkey faces. So I just thought that was a little strange. Thought Tim Roth's character looked the best by far. Like his armor, just looked awesome, and the details on his face. I think he had the most detailed look. I thought he was able to be very expressive through his makeup, whereas someone like Michael Clark Duncan didn't really seem to know what to do at all through his makeup and his costume. He was very stiff in the way that he moved. He just didn't really seem like he knew how to move and act in that costume. Whereas Tim Roth is jumping all around, doing really cool stunts, even down to the way he jumps on his horse. It's just they had to do everything a special monkey kind of way. And all the different actors, they went to, it was called Simian Academy. I like to call it Monkey Camp, where they learned how to just act like monkeys.
We started calling it Simian Academy just because it sounds a little classier than Ape School.
And in the bonus features, you just see the actors slowly losing their minds, trying just to be animalistic.
You! What are you doing? Telling me to do? Who do you think you are? Oh.
And that was like really funny to see how they did that. And a surprising amount of effort goes into acting like a monkey. And so it was really interesting to learn all about that in the bonus features. As for the movie itself, not as interesting, not as good. The plot itself is fine, but the movie just ends up being really boring, and I think the main problem this movie has is its characters and the acting. Like, Mark Wahlberg is sort of marketed as the main character, but I feel like he didn't even have a lot of screen time, didn't have a lot to do in the movie, and he did not seem like he cared at all in this movie. He is not like expressive or interesting. He just did not seem like he was trying to act at all in this one. Really weird. You also have Chris Christopherson in this movie. He has like 2 lines of dialogue and then dies immediately for no reason. What's the deal with that? That was such a huge waste of having Chris Christopherson in your movie. It could have been, this much better if he was, in the Mark Wahlberg role, or just in his current role, just with more to do. Also, the female human character seemed like they wanted to make her a main character, but she doesn't say or do anything like the whole time. But she's always there, like she's supposed to be important, which was really weird. And at the end, there's this little boy character that doesn't do anything, but he acts like he's known them the whole time. It's just like, where did you come from? What are you doing? As for the villains, I thought the villains were by far the standout. I think they even probably had more screen time. It felt like they did. Like, I love Paul Giamatti and everything, so seeing him as Limbo in this was really weird because he's doing a more comedic role. Of course, all his like makeup effects and everything were really good. I thought he was pretty funny. He was entertaining. Michael Clark Duncan, I like in everything. Like I said, he was a little stiff in his costume, but he's still good in this. Tim Roth, little overcooked, overdid his character. He was a bit extreme, just like snarling and roaring all the time, just like, okay, calm down, buddy. But I thought he was a really cool villain too. So the villains far outweigh the protagonist in this one. Another aspect of this movie that I think fails a lot is sort of the world building. I think they go a little over ambitious, try to do too many things, and just kind of end up contradicting themselves. Like Paul Giamatti's character. I really don't know what he's supposed to be, and he sort of sets up what the human characters are to the ape characters, which also doesn't really make sense. Like, is Limbo a slave trader? Maybe. I don't think his business is very profitable, seeing as Ari, the pro-human ape, who, you know, is like all human rights and everything, the human activist character, is the only one with slaves. Like, nobody else in this ape town seems to have any slaves. So it's like, is he a slave trader, or are humans regularly seen as slaves? He does give one little girl as a present to a little ape girl who's just like, they make good pets. Like, are humans pets? Like, nobody seems to have humans. It's just really weird. And it's like they're intelligent creatures, whereas like in the old movies they couldn't speak. In this they're intelligent. It's like, why did nobody like ever work anything out together? Like, I don't know, it's just really strange. This movie also runs into some problems with time travel. Like, some of it works, some of it's pretty clever. The ending, however, it's kind of iconic for how stupid it is. I've only seen this movie once before, years ago. I forgot the entire movie except for that ending. Every time I think of this movie, I think of the gorilla police officer, that one. Like, that's all I remember. And then I was watching this, I'm like, I don't remember any of the rest of this movie until you get to the end. It ultimately just ends up being sort of a bland, forgettable film, which this movie should not be. With all the awesome practical effects and then the huge ape battle at the end, it should be way more memorable, way more interesting, and then everything just comes off as dull. And especially, that also comes up to the color. Everything in this movie is like really dark and either like brown or like gray. And there's even like the more colorful stuff, like the red armor is just really dark. Kind of a dull movie to look at. And the last thing I'll talk about, big negative, is there's some weird decisions in here, like the weird love triangle between Mark Wahlberg, the human girl that does nothing, and Ari, the ape girl. And how there's like a human ape kiss at the end. Just some like weird stuff like that in this movie. It's bizarre, makes the movie uncomfortable, just the way they like look at each other, just really uncomfortable stuff. But yeah, I think this movie could have been really good just if they made it like this full epic movie, if the performances were better, if they worked out the characters and lore better. It had a lot of potential, but it just ends up being bland. Like, I didn't hate it, I don't think it's bad, it's just kind of boring and dull. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. That's all I got. Thanks for watching.